Imagine a world where the balance of power in the skies shifts almost overnight, where old ideas of dominance collapse, and where two nations once underestimated rise together to challenge the very heart of Western military confidence. This is not a faraway scenario or a piece of fiction. It is happening right now through the Pakistan-China Jet Alliance, an alliance that has unsettled the world's defense experts to their very core. The strategic military cooperation between Pakistan and China has developed into one of the most important defense partnerships in modern geopolitics, especially in the domain of air warfare. What started decades ago as a partnership built on mutual need has now turned into a strong alliance that is reshaping the equations of air power across South Asia. At the center of this cooperation lies the joint development and use of advanced fighter aircraft, with the JF-17 Thunder standing out as a prime example. This jet, co-produced by the Pakistan Aeronautical Complex and the Chengdu Aircraft Corporation of China, is more than just a combat machine. It has become a symbol of self-reliance, shared vision, and technological harmony between the two countries. By combining their resources, Pakistan and China have not only created a fighter jet suited to Pakistan's defense requirements, but have also established a model of military partnership that challenges the usual dominance of Western suppliers in the region. The more recent addition of the J-10C into the Pakistan Air Force has taken this cooperation even further, giving Pakistan access to a fourth-plus generation multi-role jet fitted with advanced radar, avionics and missile systems that stand equal to some of the finest Western designs. This step is not only about acquiring new machines, but also about showing the world that Pakistan's defense modernization will no longer be tied to Western conditions or hidden strings. The cooperation extends beyond aircraft deliveries, reaching into training, joint exercises, and technology sharing, proving that this bond is not transactional but strategic in its very essence. Unlike Western defense markets where technology sharing is tightly controlled, China has opened its doors for Pakistan, treating it as a trusted ally instead of just a paying customer. This trust has allowed Pakistan to build up its own abilities while cutting down dependence on Western suppliers, who often bring political pressure, delays, or embargo threats. For Western analysts, this growing bond between Beijing and Islamabad represents not only military cooperation, but also a major change in the security dynamics of the region. Pakistan now fields an air force increasingly shaped by Chinese technology, doctrine, and long-term commitment, making this partnership one of the most troubling developments for Western observers, who were used to holding a monopoly over advanced military technology in South Asia. The shift in air power created by the Pakistan-China Jet Alliance is now one of the most critical developments in South Asia's security scene. For years, Western experts considered Pakistan's Air Force limited, held back by outdated planes and restricted access to advanced systems. India, on the other hand, was seen as the leading air power, backed by high-profile acquisitions from the United States, France, and Russia. The arrival of Rafale jets into the Indian Air Force strengthened this belief, giving India both a psychological and technological advantage in the eyes of many. But Pakistan's purchase of the Chinese J-10C fighters has changed this picture, creating a strong counterweight that has shaken long-standing assumptions. The J-10C is not simply a replacement aircraft, it is a cutting-edge system with advanced avionics, AESA radar, long-range precision strike abilities, and compatibility with the PL-15 Beyond Visual Range missile. Together, these features give the Pakistan Air Force the ability to challenge and in some areas even surpass India's Rafale fleet. What troubles Western defence experts the most is not only the technical strength of the J-10C, but also the speed with which Pakistan managed to bring it into service. In the past, Pakistan's acquisitions were slow, drawn out, and tied to Western approvals, red tape, or political restrictions. This time, with China, the process was fast and efficient, delivering advanced jets at a speed that caught the global defence community by surprise. This quick shift means that almost overnight, the balance of air superiority in South Asia has become much harder to predict. In any potential conflict, Pakistan is no longer viewed as outclassed in the skies. Instead, it now has the ability to mount a real challenge to India's traditional dominance. This transformation carries heavy consequences for deterrence, planning, and regional stability. India can no longer rely on always having the technological edge, which forces new calculations in strategy, spending, and long-term defence planning. Beyond the military facts, the symbolism of this change is just as powerful. By choosing to modernize its air power with China, Pakistan has sent a clear signal that it has options outside the influence of the West. This move not only weakens Western defence industries, but also shakes the sense of comfort they once had in assuming Pakistan's technological limits. For analysts, who used to see South Asia as a relatively stable equation tilted in India's favour, the Pakistan-China jet alliance has added a new layer of unpredictability and risk to the regional military balance. It is this uncertainty that makes the alliance so important, as it has rewritten the rules of the game and forced Western experts to re-examine their earlier beliefs about power in South Asia. Technology sharing and independence are the backbone of the Pakistan-China jet alliance, and are among the key reasons why it troubles Western defence analysts. In the past, Pakistan's modernization efforts were almost always dependent on Western countries, such as the United States and European powers. But these relationships were never free of conditions. They came with embargoes, restrictions, and political strings that limited Pakistan's access to critical systems. Whenever tensions rose or international politics shifted, Pakistan often saw its supply chains blocked, leaving its long-term security vulnerable to outside control. This created a cycle of dependency that limited Pakistan's freedom to modernize its air force on its own terms. China's collaboration changed this equation entirely. Beijing has not only delivered advanced fighter jets like the JF-17 and J-10C, but also opened meaningful access to the technology behind them. The JF-17 project especially highlights this shift, as it was created through a joint effort where Pakistan had a direct role in design, production, and upgrades. This involvement gave Pakistan valuable technical expertise, boosted its manufacturing abilities, and allowed it to grow into a defence producer rather than remaining just a buyer. The importance of this access cannot be overstated, as it cuts Pakistan's reliance on Western controls. While Western nations carefully guard radar, avionics, and missile technologies, China has treated Pakistan as a real partner, sharing key systems like AESA radar, electronic warfare equipment, and long-range missile capabilities. This cooperation has not only made Pakistan's air force stronger today, but it has also laid the base for future independence. Local engineers, pilots, and strategists can now adapt and improve these systems to meet changing threats. For Western experts, this is alarming because it means a permanent change in the balance of dependency. A Pakistan that can build, improve, and sell its own modern jets with Chinese support is no longer trapped by Western influence, making it a more independent and less predictable force in regional affairs. This independence also carries economic value. The JF-17, for example, has already been marketed abroad, showing that Pakistan is no longer just an arms recipient, but now a competitor in the global defense market. This change weakens Western dominance not only in South Asia but also in Africa, the Middle East, and other regions where countries may prefer the Pakistan-China model over expensive Western equipment. This new empowerment through technology sharing stands as one of the clearest signs that the old order of dependence is fading and a new balance of power is emerging. Is what has made the alliance so disruptive, because it shows the start of Pakistan's movement from a dependent buyer to a joint producer of advanced air power systems. For Western observers who shaped their views on the idea that Pakistan relied on them for military progress, this new independence is nothing less than a turning point. The psychological and strategic weight on the West caused by Pakistan's rapid modernization with Chinese jets is a reality that has unsettled military communities across Europe and the United States. For many years, Western defense experts saw Pakistan's air force as limited in reach, held back by politics, outdated aircraft, and heavy dependence on American F-16s that were often restricted by embargoes or operational limits. This belief gave analysts and policymakers a sense of comfort, assuming that India, with its access to both Western and Russian technology, would always keep the upper edge in South Asia's skies. The entry of Chinese fighter technology into Pakistan's arsenal, however, broke this belief almost instantly. The induction of JF-17 upgrades equipped with advanced radar and missile systems, followed by the arrival of the J-10C, brought capabilities that matched and in some areas even surpassed those of Western-supplied aircraft in the region. Suddenly the situation shifted from Pakistan being seen as an air power tied to Western goodwill, to a country quickly reaching modernization on its own terms, with strong Chinese support. This change has placed a special kind of psychological pressure on Western defense planners. For decades, they assumed technological superiority would remain under the control of NATO nations and their allies, giving them leverage in sales, negotiations, and strategic influence. But China's readiness to share high-end systems with Pakistan has destroyed that belief, creating unease about the future of military power in Asia. The West is now forced to face the fact that its influence can be bypassed and that countries like Pakistan no longer need to seek their approval for defense modernization. This slow loss of control is what makes the psychological impact so strong, because it undermines the very roots of Western defense dominance. Strategically, the consequences are just as serious. With a more advanced Pakistan Air Force flying jets like the J-10C supported by long-range PL-15 missiles and modern electronic warfare systems, Western experts must now rethink the balance of deterrence in South Asia. India, often seen as the regional counter to China, can no longer be assumed to automatically hold superiority over Pakistan. This element of doubt makes it harder for Western powers to build India into a strong partner against China, since New Delhi now has to divide its focus between managing Beijing and staying level with Islamabad. The pressure from both sides reduces the strength of Western strategies, forcing a rethink of military aid, arms sales, and commitments in the region. What troubles analysts most is not only the arrival of Chinese aircraft in Pakistan, but also the speed, certainty, and permanence of this modernization, which shows that the West's hold over South Asia's military balance has been deeply weakened. The idea of a fresh military bloc forming through the Pakistan-China Jet Alliance is one of the most important issues disturbing Western defence circles, because it points to a lasting shift in the structure of global security. For a long time, South Asia was viewed by the West as a region where influence could be balanced by arms trade, economic aid, and diplomatic pressure, with India positioned as the natural counter to both Pakistan and China. But the stronger cooperation between Islamabad and Beijing in the defence field, especially in advanced fighter aircraft, shows that this relationship has moved beyond simple arms deals and into true strategic alignment. The co-production of platforms like the JF-17 and the transfer of systems such as the J-10C are not single events. They are part of a bigger trend of long-term defence integration, linked with China's Belt and Road project and Pakistan's reliance on Chinese investment. In this way, the Jet Alliance is not only a military signal but also a geopolitical message, strengthening the view that Pakistan and China are not just allies of convenience, but partners in reshaping Asia's balance of power. For Western defence experts, this shift is worrying because it mirrors the early phases of bloc building seen during the Cold War. A Pakistan tied firmly to Chinese technology, training, and doctrine represents more than just a challenge to India. It creates a lasting base of Chinese power in South Asia that cuts down the influence of NATO and its allies. If this cooperation extends to shared air defence systems, joint command structures, or even coordinated strategic plans, the Pakistan-China partnership could grow into a smaller bloc able to resist Western pressure and change the way security is calculated across the wider Indo-Pacific region. This possibility looks even more concerning when seen together with China's growing ties with countries like Iran and Russia, suggesting that the Jet Alliance is only one part of a larger web of counter-Western cooperation. The real Western concern is not just about jets or hardware. It is about the example this sets for other nations, by showing that Pakistan can modernize, gain autonomy, and strengthen deterrence without Western help. The partnership may encourage other countries in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East to seek similar paths with Beijing. Such ripple effects could weaken decades of Western control in global arms markets and reduce its geopolitical weight. For this reason, analysts see the Pakistan-China Jet Alliance as the early seed of something larger, a military bloc still forming, but with the ability to change global power structures and limit the West's control over regional security in Asia.